Hello and good evening, students, and welcome to Baiju's exam prep, I guess. Just let me know quickly whether I'm audible and visible to everyone. Okay, thank you so much. So, we'll be starting with today's weekly current affairs webinar. Before that, just a quick reminder that our MTS, our mains test series, it is ongoing right now. So, I hope all of you are attempting this. You are attempting these tests so that you can judge whether or not you are prepared for the upcoming mains, or even if you're not giving the mains this time, at least this will help you with your answer writing. Okay. So here are the 7 topics that we'll be taking up in today's session. I'll increase the pen size. Is this visible to everyone? Is the pen size fine? Okay. Okay, so here are the topics. The first topic is about Alzheimer's disease. The drug for Alzheimer's disease, it has gotten an FDA approval, Food and Drug Administration approval. The second one is One Health approach. Why is this important? What is One Health approach? Next is about the Bharat 6G Alliance. Recently, the government of India has declared that we'll be preparing this Bharat 6G Alliance to prepare ourselves for the upcoming new technology of telecommunication, the sixth generation. Then we have solar flares. Now, recently, US experienced some solar flares related radio communication failure. We'll be taking a look at what solar flares are and what are the different categories and what kind of problems can these create. Next, we have cluster bombs. So, cluster bombs, USA has recently said again that USA will be providing Ukraine with cluster bombs to prevent the advance of Russia in Ukraine. Next, we have Chandrayaan 3. On 14th July, India is going to launch our third lunar mission, the Chandrayaan 3. So, we'll take a look at the details of this mission. And finally, the Dharma Chakra Parvartana Divas. It was recently celebrated on July 3rd on the occasion of Guru Purnima. We'll take a look at that and we'll take a look at the why this particular day is important and what are the major teachings of Buddha. So everyone is able to hear and see me, right? Okay. So we'll start with the session now. Just a second. Okay. So we'll start with our first topic on Alzheimer's disease. Now the USA FDA, what is FDA? Food and Drug Administration. So the FDA, it has given a full approval to an Alzheimer's drug known as lecanemab. Its market name is Leqembi. Okay. So this is not the first Alzheimer's drug to get the FDA approval. Please note that. It is the second Alzheimer's drug to get the FDA approval. Okay. Before this, another drug known as aducanumab, it got the FDA approval, but when it was seen in the market, when it was sold, its efficiency was not as much as it was during the clinical trials. Okay, so this was kind of a failure. This was not working properly in the normal conditions. So lecanemab is the second Alzheimer's drug to get the FDA approval. Now, this drug, it has been developed in collaboration by two firms. One is a Japanese firm known as Eisai. The second one is an American firm known as Biogen. Now, a little bit about what Alzheimer's is. Now, Alzheimer's is a neurological disease. That means it is a disease of brain and nervous system. So what it causes? It leads to memory loss or dementia. So usually this disease, Alzheimer's, it is genetic. What does it mean? That if any of your family member any of your family member of previous generation has had the history of having this disease, then you can also have that disease in the future. Usually that means it is a genetic disease, it passes from one generation to another. But now it has also been seen that many people who do not have any known family history of having this disease, they can also get that disease. So apart from being genetic disease, it is also a lifestyle disease now. If you're not following a proper lifestyle, this can lead to some neurogenetic disorder that can cause Alzheimer, okay, or dementia. Now, many times people think that Alzheimer's can happen only in the old age. That is also not the case. See, it is most frequent during the old age. However, it can also happen at early age. Okay. So it is not just genetic. It can also happen due to lifestyle. It is not just an old age disease. It can also happen in the younger age. So Alzheimer's disease, I'll repeat once again for Vivek and Sumer. See, Alzheimer's disease, it is a disease of the nervous system and the brain, which can cause dementia. What is dementia? Dementia means memory loss. So about this particular drug, lecanemab. Now, lecanemab, as I stated, this drug recently got the FDA approval. USA allowed this drug to be sold in the markets. Now, this drug, what is the benefit of this drug? The benefit of this drug, Abhishek, the names of the firms, it is Eisai is the Japanese firm and Biogen is the US firm. FDA is Food and Drug Administration. So about this particular drug. Now this drug, it slows down the onset of the disease. See, what Alzheimer's is doing, it is causing dementia or memory loss. It is a non-communicable disease, Lakshmi. It cannot be communicated from one person to another. It causes dementia or memory loss, right? So that means it reduces our cognitive abilities. What is cognitive abilities? Our ability to understand, comprehend the things around us, our ability to remember the things around us. So it is causing that problem. It is causing a cognitive decline in the patients. Now, if this cognitive decline, it is taking place at this speed, that is within 1 year, the cognitive decline, it has increased by 50%. Okay. So earlier this was the speed. So what this drug will do, it will reduce the speed of cognitive decline. So it is not curing the disease. It is reducing the speed at which the disease comes to you. Okay. So it comes, this disease, one day you'll wake up, you'll have dementia, you'll have Alzheimer's and dementia. That's not the case. This disease, it takes time to properly reflect in your brain. Okay. So if the speed was this particular drug will reduce the speed at which the Alzheimer's come to you. Okay. So how it is doing that? So there is this protein known as beta amyloid. So beta amyloid, it is a sticky protein. See, once again, I'll repeat what is cognitive decline. Okay. Saurabh and Isha, please take a look. So cognitive decline, what is cognitive ability? Our ability to understand, interpret, and remember the things around us. Okay, that is cognitive ability. Now, Alzheimer's reduces your cognitive ability. You're not able to understand the things that are happening around you. You're not able to remember the things that have happened. So that is cognitive decline. So Alzheimer's, it causes this. It causes cognitive decline. Okay. Now, how it is working? There is this protein known as beta amyloid. So this is a very sticky protein. Okay, so what happens is that this protein, it builds up in our brain. It it creates blockages in our brain. It, for example, this is a pipe in your house. This is a pipe. If you keep on putting a lot of dirt in this pipe, what will happen? The dirt will get collected in the pipe, right? So the ability of the pipe to transfer water, it will reduce because a lot of dirt has been collected over here. Same thing is happening in Alzheimer's. In your brain, a lot of this sticky protein, it is getting collected in your brain. So this is reducing the ability of your brain to understand things, to remember things, to analyze things. So what happens is that this particular drug, it helps in clearing away this particular plaque that has been collected, this particular protein. It helps in clearing away this particular protein. So earlier it was like this reduces. So your brain's capacity to comprehend things, it will decline in a slow manner. It will not decline in a fast manner. So this disease is not curing Alzheimer's. Please take a note of this. This disease is not curing Alzheimer's. It is only reducing the speed at which Alzheimer's sets in. Okay. Now, what are the concerns with this particular drug? Even now, there are certain concerns with this drug. First is that this drug can cause a lot of side effects. Side effects like swelling of the brain, bleeding inside the brain. It can also cause small brain injuries. Okay, so it is targeting this sticky protein. So, example, you have this pipe, you have to clear out this particular dirt in your pipe. You take a shovel and you start to remove this dirt, right? When you're shoveling that dirt out of that pipe, there might be certain scratches and wear and tear at the base of this pipe. Same thing is happening here. Lecanemab, when it is attacking this sticky protein, it can cause a certain amount of brain swelling, brain bleeding, and also it can cause small brain injuries. So that is the biggest concern. In fact, during the clinical trials, 3 patients, they actually passed away when after taking this drug. However, the company said that this was not due to the drug. They already had certain problems, associated problems, which were the reason for their death. It was not because of this drug. This drug can also cause a lot of blood pressure fluctuations. It can cause a lot of blood pressure fluctuations, and it can cause flu-like symptoms. Like you can have fever just after the drug is taken, just after the drug is taken by your body. Also, please note that this drug is only for those patients who are in very early stages of Alzheimer. A person on whose body Alzheimer's has taken control fully, they will not get any benefit because of this drug. Only those patients who are in very early stages of Alzheimer's will get benefited because of this drug. Rishikesh, it is not a cure, but we are still taking it so that the person, they can spend more amount of quality time with their family. If earlier, without taking the drug, Alzheimer's would have completely taken control in 1 year, now it might take control in 2 to 3 years. So this person will have extra 1 to 2 years to spend there with their family. The name of the drug, Pratyasha, is lecanemab. Akash, they got this approval because in most of the people it was working. Okay, so they considered the majority thing. For most of the people it was working. Only in certain cases it had these kind of side effects. Basically, the benefits were much higher uh, compared to the disadvantages. Okay, so now we come to this. The practice question. Pratyasha, Alzheimer's does not cause death of the people, it just leads to memory loss. Okay. Okay, so this is the question. Ankit, the drug was developed by a Japanese and a USA firm together. Shanaz, the sign of Alzheimer, biggest sign of Alzheimer is memory loss. Pulkit, yes, clothoprotein also helps in Alzheimer's disease. Clothoprotein is something that our body naturally generates, okay? But that is something that is not related to this topic. So here is the question. Let us start with the question. Identify the incorrect statement, okay? Incorrect statement. One can get Alzheimer's only if they have a family history of it. Lecanemab, a drug for the disease, has received the FDA approval. You're getting 10 seconds for this question. Sneha, this protein basically accumulates in your brains. Okay. So, yeah, most of you have given the right answer. See, I have already emphasized that it is not just a genetic disease. Yes, it is a genetic disease, but there are other causes also. Lifestyle disease also it is. Okay. And yes, lecanemab was the drug that has gotten the FDA approval. So, your correct answer is A. Sorry. You have asked the incorrect statement. I'm so sorry. So, yes, your correct answer is A. This is correct. This is incorrect. We'll go to the next topic, which is about One Health approach. Now, this topic, it is important both for your prelims as well as mains, okay? So, please take a note of this. Okay. So, the context is that on July 6th, the world celebrates the World Zoonosis Day. What do you mean by zoonosis? We'll take a look in the upcoming slide. Also, four agencies. What are the four agencies? The FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization, UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, WHO, World Health Organization, and WOAH, World Organization for Animal Health. They have released a research agenda to cater to antimicrobial resistance. What is antimicrobial resistance? That also we'll take a look in the upcoming slide. Okay, don't worry. So they have released this agenda based on the One Health approach. So One Health approach becomes a very important concept in these days, especially with regards to antimicrobial resistance. So what do you mean by zoonosis? I stated here that on July 6th, we had the World Zoonosis Day. So zoonosis is basically an infectious disease that can transfer from animals to humans. Zoo means animal. So zoology is study of animals, okay? So zoonosis is infectious disease that can transfer from animals to the humans. Now more than 60%, this point is very important, that basically tells us why World Zoonosis Day is important. It is important because 60% of the existing and emerging pathogens that can cause variety of diseases in the humans, they generate or they originate in the animals. Even COVID, it has been said that it has originated in bats, right? Bird flu, swine flu, anthrax. So all these diseases, they generated in the animals and now they can also affect the humans. Okay, so animal to human transfer, it is occurring in these kind of disease. So more than 60% of the already existing pathogens are disease causing microorganisms. Okay, Dinkar? Okay. Moreover, 75% of these, they are coming from wild animals that have not been domesticated. Okay, so that is why it becomes very important for us to understand these zoonotic diseases, so that if we understand them properly, we'll be able to prepare cures for them, which can be used in case that disease it afflicts any human being. Okay, so World Zoonosis Day, it is celebrated to increase the awareness about these kind of diseases. Yes, with the monkeypox is also an example of a zoonotic disease. Lopita SARS, yes, it is also a zoonotic disease. So World Zoonosis Day, why it is celebrated? It is celebrated to recognize the day 6th July in the year 1885, when a French scientist, Mr. Louis Pasteur, he successfully administered the first vaccine for a zoonotic disease. What was this disease? It was rabies. So to commemorate that achievement, this particular day is celebrated. Ashutosh, the procedure for approval of drug was discussed in the last Tuesday webinar. Okay, so you can just refresh it from there. What is antimicrobial resistance exactly? Ritu, I told the reason for 6th July. It was the day on which the first vaccine for a zoonotic disease was administered. Arjun, zoonotic diseases can be by any microorganism, be it bacteria, be it virus, be it protozoa, any kind of microorganism. Piyush, it was for rabies. Okay. So, what is antimicrobial resistance? We have discussed that as well. That is also a reason why One Health approach is in news. See, antimicrobials, they are the medicines. Anti-microbe, anti against microbe. They kill the microbes. They are the medicines that are used to cure the microbial infections. For example, antibiotics, they are used to cure the bacterial infections. Antivirals, they are used to cure viral infections. Okay, so these are antimicrobials. So antimicrobials, they are used to cure any kind of microbial infection. So why does this resistance occur? Why does antimicrobial resistance occur? So basically, antimicrobial resistance is when the antimicrobial, it stops working on that particular microbe. That microbe, it does not have any impact of that antimicrobial on itself. I'll give you an example. All of you must have used All Out in your houses, right? Now, earlier when All Out was just launched, it was very effective. The mosquitoes, they were getting killed because of the use of All Out very quickly. But now what is happening? Now you can even see a mosquito sitting on top of the All Out machine and nothing is happening to the mosquito. Why is that happening? Because the mosquitoes, they have mutated themselves in such a way that they are not getting affected by the All Out. Same thing is happening with these microbes. These microbes, they have mutated themselves in such a manner that these antimicrobials are now not effective in killing them. Okay, so this is antimicrobial resistance, and it occurs because of the genetic changes in the microbes. Okay, now what are the concerns related to these? The concerns related to this antimicrobial resistance is that every year, according to the data from WHO, they are causing approximately 5 million deaths. 5 million, that's a very big number. In 2019 itself, it caused the death of 1.27 million people directly and 4.95 million people indirectly, or associated deaths. They can make very common diseases very deadly. For example, you have the TB, Yes, Sahil, a very good example. I'm coming to that. So you know about TB. TB, it is a disease of either the lymph system or the respiratory system. It can be easily cured. However, what has happened these days, that some of the TB bacteria, they have become very resistant to the drugs. So this has led to MDR, multi drug resistant TB, or XDR, extensively drug resistant TB. Now the mortality rate in case of tuberculosis, it is very less. However, if you see in case of XDR TB, here it is less than 10%. Very less, very minute, even less than 5%. In case of XDR TB, the mortality rate is almost 60%. So, what is happening? The common diseases which could be easily cured, they have now become very incurable. The mortality rate has increased a lot. Apart from that, another problem with that is this creates a huge healthcare cost. So earlier you were taking simple antibiotic and you were getting cured. Now you'll have to take very high type of highly potent antibiotics. Okay, you'll have to take these highly potent antibiotics. So there will be the higher cost of the drugs. Apart from that, earlier you were getting cured within a week, but now it is taking a lot of time, maybe even months for you to get cured. So this adds to your hospital bills. So your medicine bills and your hospital bills, they will increase because of these type of diseases. So that is why this is increasing what? Your healthcare cost. Masira MDR TB is multi drug resistant TB and XDR TB is extensively drug resistant. Extensively drug resistant means that basic drugs that were used to cure simple TB, they are not at all effective on the bacteria that have caused this disease. The bacteria that have caused this type of TB, they are extensively drug resistant. They're not getting killed by any kind of drugs. There are also now creating new antimicrobials. It is not an easy task. It takes a lot of years of research, and also there is a high failure rate while creating new type of antimicrobials. So what is happening because of that? Because of that, we do not even have drugs for some of the diseases. We do not have drugs for some of the diseases which have the pathogens of which they have attained a very high antimicrobial resistance. They also affect our road towards achieving our sustainable development goals, especially health for all. Because what will happen, the rich people, they will be able to bear these costs. The rich countries, they will be able to invest in research and development for creating the drugs. However, the poor people, the poor countries, they will not be able to do that. So this SDG of health for all, it will not be achieved if we do not focus on the antimicrobial resistance. So, what is this One Health approach, which is considered to be a very important strategy in handling antimicrobial resistance? Now, you have seen the zoonotic diseases. They can affect, they can transfer from animals to humans. There are certain diseases of plants which can also travel to humans. Certain animal diseases which can afflict the plants and vice versa. Okay. So, One Health approach, it says that Sanchit SDG means Sustainable Development Goals. Anjali, AMR is antimicrobial resistance. Yes, Pulkit, it is SDG 3, that means health and well-being, the goal for health for all. So, One Health approach, it is an integrated approach. Okay, integrated in what sense? The health of the human beings, the health of the animals, and the health of the environment, it cannot be dealt separately, because there are many microbes that are causing problems in animals that can in future also cause problem in the humans. So if proper research is not done when they are just in the animal stage, then in that case what will happen? In that case, in the future, they can affect the human beings, and then we'll have to start the research from there. Okay. So in one health approach, it says that health of humans, health of animals and environment, they cannot be dealt with separately. They have to be dealt with together. So for this, what is very much important? It is important that the people who are working in the healthcare of humans like doctors, in the healthcare of animals like the veterinary doctors, in the healthcare of plants like the agriculturists, also various researchers who are researching about various drugs, various diseases, various means of diagnosing the diseases, they all need to work together. Plant, human and animal, all these three, all the people working in these three categories, they need to work together. They need to communicate with each other. If any new disease is found in the animals, that information, it should be given to the people working in human department and the people working in plants department. They should coordinate with each other, that research can be done on that particular disease. They need to collaborate with each other, work together, so that this information, it is available to everyone. For example, there is a disease, say ABC, that has affected, say, buffaloes. So it has affected buffaloes, but we know that it cannot get transferred to humans. Okay. So right now in 2023, we know that this disease cannot transfer from buffaloes to humans. However, maybe by the year 2030, the microbe that caused this disease, it might start affecting humans. Now, if in 2023, when we first got the information about this microbe, we did not start our research on this from human aspect. So what will happen? Once in 2030, once it starts affecting the humans, we'll realize that we haven't done any research on this particular pathogen. So we have already wasted 7 years. We'll have to start from 2030. If we would have started our research from 2023, when we first got the information about that pathogen, we would have developed certain cures, certain means to reduce the impact of that disease. Okay. Ritu, yes, microbes, they exist everywhere. Some microbes, they can cause harm to us. They are pathogens. They are called pathogens. Please tell me if my voice is all right to all of you. My video, audio, if it's all right. If it's not, I please request you to just refresh your screen, okay? Okay. So why is this needed? Why this One Health approach is needed? See, our population, it is continuously growing. Okay, so 3 C's I'll just mention over here. I forgot to do that. It is coordinating, communicating, and collaborating. Now, please note that One Health approach, it is not any scheme of the government. It is actually a strategy to deal with increase in antimicrobial resistance. So, what is the need for One Health approach? See, our population, it is continuously growing. So that is why we are expanding ourselves. We are expanding our agriculture, our industries, our settlements in new and new location. So that is why we are coming in more contact with the wild animals, wild plants, and so on. So because that is happening, because the interaction is happening between humans as well as plants and animals, this increased interaction, it increases our chances of getting the diseases. So that is why we need to adopt the One Health approach. We need to identify already the pathogens that can cause diseases in animals and plants and which can transfer themselves to animals, to humans. Second is climate change and land use change. See what is happening. You already know that because of climate change, many diseases, they are entering into new and new regions. So more people are getting affected by the disease. In fact, recently USA experienced locally transferred cases of malaria, which was not seen earlier, right? Hisanullah, it is a global agenda. This One Health approach is a global agenda, not an Indian concept. It is a global concept. So climate change, it is causing an increase in the diseases, in the areas where the diseases they can happen. Okay. Also, what is happening because of climate change, the ice caps, the ice sheets, they are melting. So this is ice sheet, and within this ice sheet some ancient microbes, they are there. Okay, they have been trapped in this ice sheet. Now this ice sheet has melted up till here. So what is happening, these microbes, they are resurfacing again. Now because these ice sheets, they were created many thousands and millions years ago, human beings, we do not have any knowledge about these microbes, so they are also coming to surface. So new and new diseases, they are coming up. So that is why we need to be prepared about it. Some of these microbes might affect only animals, some of them might affect only plants, some might affect only humans, but we need to study about all of them so that in the future these diseases, they do not start affecting humans and we do not have any kind of cure against these disease. Also, with the latest technology, latest means of transport, international trade and travel is increasing. You can travel to any part of the world, right? So that is why the communication amongst the people, it is increasing. So that is causing what, people, they are traveling to new regions, they are getting exposed to new types of diseases. So in that case also One Health approach also is needed, so that we can have research about all kinds of diseases. Now what are the benefits of adopting this approach? First is, it can prevent the spread of zoonotic diseases. Okay, just a second. Yeah, how land use change is affecting it. I said over here, we are expanding into new and new region. We are cutting the forests. We are changing the land use from forest to agriculture or forest to housing. So many wild animals, we are coming into contact with them. Okay, so that's why we are coming into contact with new kinds of pathogens that can cause diseases. Third point is, okay, third point is, the international trade has increased. Animals, they can be sent from one location to another. Even dead animals, sometimes they might have certain microbes, right? So international trade, also travel has increased. I can go to some country of say South America. I might get exposed to certain pathogens that I have never dealt with before. So what is happening, our exposure to the pathogens is increasing because of increased trade and travel. Okay. Uh, Ayati, I request you to please refresh your screen. Shikha, I request you to refresh your screen. So, what are the benefits of adopting this approach? See, it will prevent the spread of zoonotic diseases in humans and plants. This has been adequately explained. Secondly, we depend upon a lot of we depend upon a lot of animals and plants for our food, right? If we have adopted this One Health approach, we are doing proper research on all kinds of diseases. This will ensure that we have proper cure for all the diseases. So what will happen, because we are having proper cure, the food that we receive from those plants and animals, it will be safe for consumption. It will not get wasted and thrown away because it was not proper for human consumption. So this will help in food safety and security. Then reduction in AMR infection, antimicrobial resistant infections, they will come down because the issues, the pathogens, they will be nipped in the bud. The information about them, it can be properly communicated to the persons responsible, right? They can start proper treatment so that these microbes, they get properly killed and they do not have a chance to do genetic mutation and become antimicrobial resistant. Okay, so One Health approach will help in reducing the AMR infections. Next is AMR is antimicrobial resistance. Protection of the global health security. We have shown in the previous slides how AMR, antimicrobial resistance, is a very big threat to health security. If that can be addressed properly, then definitely our health security will increase. Lastly, biodiversity. It will be protected. The wild animals, wild plants, they will be proper protected and conserved if we adopt the One Health approach. Okay. Okay, food safety and security, some people have problem. See, if there is a disease that is affecting a lot of plants, it can also start affecting a lot of animals in the future. Now there are many people who consume this plant and this animal. If that disease starts affecting them, what will happen? If it is not detected and I consume it, I might also get sick. So this puts a question mark on our food safety. Also, if it is properly detected, then what will happen? If the all these plants and all these animals, they will have to be destroyed or killed, that will affect the food security. So if the disease is properly diagnosed at the earlier stage, its proper research is done on its cure, then it can, the spread of that disease can be reduced. So this will help in benefiting food safety and security. AMR infection is antimicrobial resistant infections. Okay, infections caused by the microbes who are resistant to antimicrobials. Yeah. So in May 2021, a very official recognition was given to this strategy, and the One Health high level expert panel, it was formed to do research on how we can propagate this idea of One Health, increase the awareness amongst the various countries, various research institutes and academicians regarding One Health approach. So this panel was formed to advise Food and Agricultural Organization, United Nations Environmental Program, World Health Organization, World Organization for Animal Health. So all these four, they are a part of this expert level panel, and they are getting the advice from this expert level panel regarding propagating the idea of One Health. Now we come to the practice question. How many of the following statements are true? One Health approach aims to reduce prevalence of antimicrobial resistance. Zoonotic diseases can transfer from animals to humans. The first vaccine for any zoonotic disease was for rabies. You have to choose the correct answers. I'm giving you 15 seconds for this particular question. Yes, Kumar, India is also taking steps for this one health approach. Many ministries, they came together and signed this thing called Delhi Declaration. They signed this Delhi Declaration, within which many ministries, they said that Ministry of Health, Ministry of Animals, Farmers and Animal Husbandry, many ministries, they came together and they said that we take a commitment that we will follow this one health approach. Okay. So the answer over here is C. Yes. One health approach aims to reduce the prevalence of antimicrobial resistance. That is one of the biggest aim of one health approach. This is correct. Zoonotic diseases can transfer from animal to humans. This is also correct. The first vaccine for any zoonotic disease was for rabies. FAO Aziz. FAO is Food and Agricultural Organization. Now we come to the next topic. The next topic, before that, I'll just summarize. One health approach, it basically aims at dealing with the health of the plants and ecosystem, health of animals, and health of humans in a coordinated manner. Okay. AMR is antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobials are what? They are the medicines that are used to kill the microbes that are causing diseases in our body. If the microbes, they get resistant to this antimicrobials, that means that antimicrobial, they do not kill off those microbes, then that means the infection caused by that resistant pathogen or microbe is known as AMR, or antimicrobial resistant infection. Okay, so now we come to the third topic, which is about the Bharat 6D Alliance. Aniket, One Health approach aims to reduce zoonotic disease. Yes, it aims to reduce zoonotic disease, any kind of human related disease, plant related disease, specific animal diseases, everything. So, what is the context of this Bharat 6D Alliance? So the Department of Telecommunication of the Government of India, it has recently launched this alliance. The main aim of this alliance is to make India a global leader in the 6G technology, the sixth generation technology for telecommunication. So India wants to have a leadership in the 6G technology and innovation. We also want to forge partnerships with other global 6D alliances. So we want to do international collaborations and knowledge exchange with regards to 6G technologies with all the researchers, all the academicians, the private companies, the government departments all across the world. So who all are the members of this alliance? We have public and private companies who are a member, who are doing work related to telecom. We have various research institutes, we have many academicians, we have various standard development organizations, the organizations which are establishing the standards for various technology. For example, what should be the minimum speed, what should be the latency, and so on, right? So all these will be the member of this alliance. So alliance has such a diverse membership to ensure that the 6G technology is not just used for economic gains but is also used for social gains. Ekta, I'll come to that. I'll come to what latency is, just a minute, okay? Now, what are the benefits of establishing this 6G alliance? See, we want to prepare India both technologically as well as with regards to human resources when it comes to the 6G technology. See, 6G technology, it has not yet been adopted as of now. Right now, the world is in the process of adopting the 5G technology. It is considered that by the later end of this decade, the 6G technology, it will be available for us. So India wants to prepare beforehand. Beforehand only, we want to identify what kind of technologies can be used for 6G, what kind of skill set will be required to ensure that 6G technologies, they will be beneficial for India. Okay, now this alliance, okay, some people have confusion, Shrishti. This alliance is an alliance between the various private and public companies, between the academicians, researchers, standard setting organizations. This is an alliance of all of them. They'll get a common platform to come together and discuss about 6G technologies. Manpreet, India has gone beyond 4G. Many cities, they have 5G technology already available. In fact, India is the country that had the fastest rollout of 5G technology. No, Srimant, we have already adopted 5G. We will be moving to 6G whenever it will be available. This is not an international alliance. See, the name has Bharat 6G Alliance. It is a domestic alliance, an India based alliance. Okay. So this will prepare India technologically as well as with regards to human resources. What kind of skill sets, what kind of technology do we use to make the extensive and most efficient use of 6G technology? Yeah, Sabha, I hope your doubt is clear now. Yeah. This will also help in leveraging our existing strength in the IT and telecom sector. See, already India has been declared as one of the biggest IT hubs of the world. We have most of the IT and software engineers all across the world, be it in any country, they are mostly Indian in origin, right? India itself, one of its biggest export in terms of services is the software and IT services. So we want to use our already existing leadership in this telecom sector and IT sector in order to further help us promote our leadership in at a global scale with regards to the 6G technologies. Now, what is exactly 6G? Before that, let us take a look at how these technologies have evolved. First, we had just the 1G technology, the first generation. G here is meaning generation. So, first generation or 1G technology, it allowed for only calling, only transmission of voice from one place to another. So, it was developed in 1979. Next technology was 2G technology, which developed in 1991. It also helped, apart from calling, it also helped us in our ability to send text from our mobile phones. Okay. Third came the 3G, the third generation technology. The third generation technology allowed us to even use internet on our phones. Then came the 4G technology. It increased further the speed of internet on our phones. Wi-Fi's became so commonly available. Though your phones, they became smartphones. Now you could use so many applications on your phone itself. Earlier for Facebook, you had to use only your laptop. You had to connect your laptop with a LAN cable and use it. You did not have Wi-Fi. Now you can use that using your mobile internet on your phone itself. So 4G, it led to a transformation or a revolution in terms of applications. The apps, the app store that you have, the Google Play Store that you have, it has a lot of apps. They were possible because of the 4G technology. Then came the 5G technology. Currently, this is the most latest technology that is available. to the world. The 5G technology, it is now helping us in Internet of Things. You are able to control, sitting far away, you are able to control the AC of your home. This is what the AC, it has become a smart AC. Your television has become a smart television. All of this, it is possible because of 4G and 5G technologies. So at every stage, with an increase in the stages, especially since 3G, what is happening? The speed of internet, it is increasing and increasing. Okay, so since here, earlier in 1G technology there was no internet, you just had the calling feature. 2G brought calling and SMS feature, and for the first time at a very slow pace you could use internet on your phone, but it was very extremely slow. Third, 3G, it increased the speed of internet. 4G further increased. 5G has further increased the speed. 6G, we are assuming it will come by the year 2030. It will come by the year 2030, and the speed, the basic speed of this will be 100 gigabytes per second. This will help in integration or development of artificial intelligence. We will be able to create our own holograms. So instead of standing here in a studio and teaching you, you could see me at your homes. I'll be teaching you at your home. Okay, you could see my hologram over there and I'll be teaching you over there. So that is a hologram. Okay, digital twins. You can have a second life digitally, like you have metaverse, right? On metaverse you can create your own separate life, separate from the real life. So that is how you can create a twin of yourself in a virtual world. So this will help in all of these things. Chisti hologram is what I'm standing over here. My 4D image, it will be, sorry, my 3D 4D image, it will be available in front of you as well. So that is hologram. Many of the leaders, even our prime minister, in the recent times, he has given speeches in a hologram format. He was not present there, but it felt like he was actually standing, physically standing in that location and giving the speech. Saima digital twin, Ramdas Saima Sardarni. Digital twin means that you can have a twin life of yourself in a virtual world. This is the real world where you are right now. In a virtual world, you can have your own life, like you have metaverse, right? Mark Zuckerberg tried to increase this idea of metaverse, a second life of yourself in a virtual space. So, what will be, how will 6G be different compared to the 5G? See, 6G, it will use higher frequencies compared to 5G. It will have higher bandwidth. Higher frequencies means lower wavelengths. So 5G, it used the radio waves, the radio frequencies. The 6G, it will use millimeter waves and microwaves. Okay, so it will use the waves somewhere in this area. It will use the millimeter as well as the microwave. So this is one important fact that you need to know. So its bandwidth will be higher compared to 5G. So what does this mean? It will be able to use higher number of frequencies for transferring information. For example, this is a pipe. This is only 1 meter wide. So this is a 1 meter wide pipe. So only small amount of water can flow through it. A better example I'll give you. You must have, every one of you, you must have faced a traffic jam at one point or other, right? So what happens if the road is only 3-lane road? Then what will happen? There will be a lot of jam over here. Many people are coming from here. A lot of jam will be here, and only a small number of people, they will be able to go from here to here, right? Now if the road's width it is increased, what will happen? 3 more lanes are added. The amount of jam that occurs over here, it will reduce. So the person, they will be able to go from here to here in a fast manner. That means the latency will reduce, the delay of reaching from one place to another, it will reduce. So this is latency. Now what is happening? This is 5G. It was using less number of bandwidth, less amount of bandwidth, less number of frequencies. 6G is using more number of frequencies. So what is happening? Because of use of 6G, the data is getting transferred from here to here at a faster rate compared to 5G. So that means because data is getting transferred faster, that means latency, the lateness experienced by the receiver when receiving the information from the other end, that has reduced. The data transfer will be faster. So it is expected to be 1,000 times faster than 5G. Latency is nothing but the delay of information going from the sender end to the receiver end. Now earlier say it was 5 seconds, now it will be only 1 second. This is just an example. So latency in 6G, it will be much less compared to 5G because the speed will be 100 gigabytes per second. Bandwidth, Yashvita, bandwidth is the number of frequencies that can be used by that technology. Okay, I explained over here, right? 5G, it has lesser bandwidth. 6G, it has higher bandwidth. And that is why the delay of sending information from one place to other place, it is less. Mega millimeter waves and microwaves are the waves which have their wavelength in the range of 10 to the power minus 3 for millimeter, 10 to the power minus 3 meters. And for microwaves, 10 to the power minus 6 meters. Their wavelength is in this range. Millimeter range wavelength, micrometer range wavelength. Okay. So this particular technology, because it will be so quick, it will be able to support many kinds of advanced applications like alternate reality, like virtual reality, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and Internet of Senses. So it is expected that because it will be so fast, many new technologies, they could be easily used because of this particular technology. Okay, AR is augmented reality. For example, I wear a glass, and if I wear a glass and you're walking in front of me, this glass will give me all the information about you. I won't have to open my screen. I'll be able to know everything about you. If I'm seeing this particular pen, I'll be able to see all the information about this pen over here. So reality is there, it is augmented. I'm able to see more information. I'm getting more information than I would have if I would not be wearing those glasses. So that is augmented reality. VR is virtual reality. Yeah. Virtual reality is like, you wear those glasses. There are many gaming glasses, gaming gears, right? You wear that gear and the surroundings are completely changed. Now you're not sitting in your room, you are standing on the surface of Mars and you're fighting some aliens. So that is virtual reality. However, please note that we do not yet know how 6G will be able to use these technologies because currently any standards for 6G, they have not been set by the international agencies. Now, what are the other efforts of India in the regards of increasing our presence with regards to 6G technology? See, Prime Minister of India has already declared that we want 6G technology to be rolled out all across India by the year 2030. So for this, a technology innovation group, it has been already set up on 1st November 2000 2021. In order to develop the vision, mission, roadmap, and the action plan for for the adoption of the 6G technology by our country. Now, this particular innovation group, it will have six task force. First, multidisciplinary innovative solutions. How 6G technology can be used for providing solutions to a lot of disciplines, to environmental problems, social problems, economic problems. Multi-platform next generation networks. What kind of networks they could be used to in order to send 6G technology to everyone, in order to use the 6G technology? What spectrum will be required, what kind of spectrum will be required, how that spectrum will be distributed amongst the various network providers, the devices that will be needed for 6G technology, how India can contribute towards setting the standards for the 6G technology which have been set up as of now, then how we can raise funds for increasing our research in 6G technology. India is also involved in the 6G technology visioning exercise that is undertaken by the International Telecommunication Unit. Now, ITU is the agency that sets those various standards, various international standards for these telecommunication technologies. So, India is already a part of ITU's exercise for envisioning the standards for 6G technology. So, India, apart from Bharat 6G Alliance, we have this Technology Innovation Group. We are also a part of the ITU panel that is deciding the standards for 6G technology. Now we come to the practice question. Identify the correct statements. Bharat 6G Alliance has members from both public and private sector. The standards for 6G have been finalized by International Telecommunication Union. Sorry, it was not unit, it's union. 6G uses higher frequencies compared to 5G. I'm giving you again 15 seconds for this answer. Okay. So most of you have given the correct answer. This is correct. The standards, they haven't been set yet. They are still in the process of being set. This is correct. Yes, 6G is using higher frequencies compared to the 5G. So your correct answer over here is B. Next, the fourth topic on solar flares. Now, recently what has happened? The radio communications over various parts of United States and over Pacific Ocean, they were disturbed by a solar flare. Now, this solar flare was classified as an X-class solar flare. So, what are the classes of solar flare? We'll take a look. What is solar flare? We'll take a look in the upcoming slides. So, what is solar flare? Solar flare is basically a sudden burst of electromagnetic radiations as well as charged particles from the surface of the sun. A sudden burst, a sudden quick burst of both electromagnetic radiations and the charged particles. Now, why does it occur? So it occurs when the magnetic energy that is stored in the atmosphere of the sun, it is suddenly released. Now, why does it get released suddenly? What happens is that the magnetic lines of the magnetic field of the sun, it ideally should go from north to south, right? It should go like this. But sometimes these magnetic fields, they get super tangled like this. Instead of following the shortest path, they start meandering. So because they start meandering, eventually what happens? They suddenly burst. So what happens if you take a rubber band, if you keep stretching it, if you keep increasing its length, suddenly what will happen, that rubber band will snap. The energy will be released, the rubber band will be forced to come back to its original position. So that is the same thing that is happening over here. Instead of following the shortest path, the magnetic fields, they get tangled up. They get tangled up, they start following a more lengthy path. As their path length, it keeps on increasing, the stress on these magnetic lines, it increases. So they suddenly snap like a rubber band, and that leads to a release of huge amount of energy that causes the release of electromagnetic radiations and charged particles from the sun. I'll explain quickly once again. The So this is normal magnetic field. This is magnetic field when it gets super tangled. Now Tejinder has a very valid question. Why? Why do we have this tangling of magnetic field? Why the Akash also is asking why the path of magnetic field changes. Yashvita is also asking. Many of you have this doubt. See what is there? The problem is sun is not a solid body. It is basically a mixture of gas and plasma. So the various layers of sun, when they are moving, they move at different rates. At equator, the sun is moving. The movement of this plasma and gases is faster compared to their movement at the higher latitudes. So what is happening? This is the normal magnetic field. Because of the differential movement, this magnetic field, it starts tangling up. So this is the reason for tangling, the differential motion, the differential rate at which the various layers of sun are moving. Okay, this tangling happens. Because of this tangling, the magnetic field lines, they become very stressed and they snap like a rubber band. This leads to a release of lot of energy. So this leads to release of energy and causes solar flares. Now, these events, they can have a lot of effects on Earth. Yes, Dr. Barsoon, yes, they do have an impact on Earth's magnetic field as well. Now, these events, they can have a various types of impact on Earth, like disruption of our radio communication, geomagnetic storms. They can also pose risk to the satellites and astronauts. We'll come to the impacts in the upcoming slides. Now, what are the categories of solar flares? America was hit by a X-class solar flares. See, solar flares, they are categorized into three. They are categorized into three parts, three types, based on their X-ray brightness. How much X-ray do they carry? See, solar flares, I said here, they are a burst of electromagnetic radiation. Now, X-ray is a type of electromagnetic radiation. Apart from this, there are other electromagnetic radiations like gamma rays, like radio waves, like UV rays, which are also released because of this solar flare. However, the intensity of X-rays is the highest, so that is why the X-ray brightness is used, X-ray brightness of the solar flare is used to determine its category. Okay. Now, what are the categories? First is the X class. This is the most powerful type of solar flare, which was experienced recently by USA and the Pacific area. So they are most intense and powerful solar flare. They represent highest level of X-ray brightness. Maximum X-ray is released during X class of solar flares. Now, X class also has various subcategories, X1 to X9. Now, X2, it is 2 times more powerful than X1. X5 is 5 times more powerful than X1, and similarly, X9 will be 9 times more powerful than X1. Okay, so X class is further divided in X1 to X9 categories. Then, less than that, we have the M class flares. Now, M class flares, they are medium sized solar flares with moderate level of X-ray brightness. Okay. X class highest, M class moderate. They are less powerful than the X class, but they have a potential to cause disturbance in radio communication, and they can affect the space weather as well. Just like X class, they are also divided between M1 to M9 categories. These are the subdivisions. Next is C class flares, the smallest category of solar flares, the least harmful type of solar flare. They have lower level of X-ray brightness. They release less energy compared to both the M class and the X class. So X class is the most extensive one, M class is the moderate one, and C class is the least, is the lowest level, the chotu one. Okay, X is extreme, M is moderate, C is chota or small in English. Okay, so that way you can remember the various categories. Yes, the names, Saurabh, the names are X, C, and M only. Okay, there are no full forms of these. Okay, so what are the impact of solar flares? See, you know that radio communication on Earth, how does it happen? It happens basically through satellites. This radio waves, they are sent to the satellites and they eventually reach the other place. Now we depend upon what? The ionosphere, which has a lot of ions for transmittance of these radio waves, right? Now, what is happening because of the solar flare? A lot of electromagnetic radiation and a lot of charged particles, they are coming towards the Earth. So that disturbs this entire layer. This that disturbs the balance of the various ions in the ionosphere. So what is happening? The radio communication, they might fail. They might fail, and we might not be able to receive the information that was sent from here to here. They can also cause, for the similar reason, they can cause a lot of damage to the satellites that we have. These charged particles, they can hit the satellites, these radiations can hit the satellites and affect their electronic instruments. The electronic instruments, they might be hit. The GPS navigation might also be hit because that also uses radio communication. I'll explain it quickly once again. See what is happening. What is happening? This, we use satellites for communication, right? Usually call communication, it takes place through the radio waves. Now many radio waves, they are also coming because of the solar flares. Many charged particles, they are also coming because of the solar flare. So what will happen? These radio waves, they might get mixed with these radio waves. The ions which were helping the transmittance of the radio waves from the ionosphere to the back to the Earth, they might get charged. Their movement, it might get more unpredictable. So what will happen? This might interfere with our radio communication. I'll explain this point now. Power grid interference. Now what is happening? Because a lot of charged particles are coming, a lot of electromagnetic radiations, they are coming towards the Earth. Now our power grid, they are basically what? Various transformers and towers that are carrying current from one place to another, that are carrying electricity from one place to another. Now you must have heard of Faraday's law. You know, don't need to know this for UPSC, but basically Faraday's law says that electromagnetic radiations, they might lead to creation of current in a conductor. Okay, so what happens because of these electromagnetic radiations? The normal current is flowing, but apart from that, an induced current is also created, which is known as geomagnetically induced current. So these currents, they might start interfering with our normal current. They might start interfering with our normal current. They might affect the various equipments that are used for transferring electricity from one place to another, like our transformers. They might get destroyed because of these electromagnetic radiations caused due to solar flares. Okay. Apart from that, the auroras, you know that the northern lights, you must have heard of northern lights. The display of colorful lights in the sky, especially at the higher latitudes, both in the northern hemisphere where they are known as northern lights or aurora borealis, and in the southern hemisphere where they are known as aurora australis. Australia is in the southern hemisphere, so southern hemisphere lights, they are known as aurora australis. Okay, so auroras, they are also created because of these solar flare. Now solar flare, they are causing what? They are sending out electromagnetic radiations as well as charged particles. Now these charged particles, they interact with the molecules in the air. When they interact with the molecules in the air, this interaction releases certain amount of light energy. Okay, this light energy, it is visible in form of various colors in our sky. Okay, also, as I said, a lot of X-ray radiations, gamma radiations, UV radiations, they are coming towards the Earth. So many of the astronauts which are in the space, they also might get hit by this. Now you know that when we do X-ray, we do it very cautiously. We only pinpoint at certain locations because X-rays, they can be harmful to our body. UV radiations, you must have heard of ozone layer. Ozone layer is protecting us from what? Harmful UV radiations, right? So, if so, these astronauts are basically in the space. There is no ozone layer to protect them. There is no Earth's atmosphere to reduce the impact of these solar flares. So, these astronauts, they can be adversely affected by these solar flares. These solar flares, they also provide us with scientific research opportunities. See, these solar flares, they are causing radio communication disruption, power grid disruption, they are impacting the health of astronauts, they are doing a lot of things. So everything, all of these aspects, they can be undertaken as a part of research so that we are able to understand more about the impact of the solar flare, also more about the nature of the sun. Okay, so all this can all these are the impacts of solar flare. So Syed Shah has a very good question. Has India seen any kind of aurora up till now? See, I think last month or last to last month, auroras were seen in the Union Territory of Ladakh. Apart from that, no, we haven't seen auroras because they usually occur at the higher latitudes. Vikram, auroras are only at higher latitudes because the magnetic field of Earth, it converges at the higher latitudes, right? Magnetic field is getting converged. Now usually these charged particles, they are attracted by high strength of magnetic field. Because magnetic field is converging at the poles, that is why these charged particles, they also get attracted more towards the poles compared to the lower latitudes, and that is why auroras, they are more visible at this location. Now the practice question. Which of the following statements are true? Solar flares are divided into three categories based on their gamma ray brightness. Solar flares can cause auroras in higher latitudinal locations. You have to choose the correct answer. Again, I'm giving you 15 seconds. Yes, most of you have given the correct answer. See, this is correct. Yes, solar flares can cause auroras in the higher latitudes. Definitely correct. What about this one? I stated very clearly that solar flares, they are divided into three categories based on X-ray brightness, not gamma ray brightness. Okay, so this is incorrect, and your correct answer is option B. Next, we come to cluster bombs. Now, these are in news because USA has decided to send cluster bombs to Ukraine to help Ukraine control the advance of Russia. Now, Jagrati has a very good question before I start with this topic. She has a very good question that can Earth's magnetic field also get tangled like suns? See, sun, it is mainly what? It is mainly gases and plasma. It is not solid. Earth is what? A terrestrial planet, a rocky planet. So there is very less chance of Earth's magnetic field getting tangled like suns. So what are cluster bombs? Okay. So cluster, what do you mean by cluster? Cluster is when many units, they are packed in a small space. You must have learned about cluster settlement in geography, right? So what is cluster settlement? When a lot of houses, they are located very close to each other. A lot of units present in a small space is cluster. So similarly, cluster bomb is what? Cluster bomb, they have a main casing within which a large number of individual bomblets, small bombs, they are present. Sub submunition or bomblet, small bombs. So instead of having a bigger bomb, we have a casing within which many small bombs, they are present. They are clustered inside a casing. Now they can be launched both from air as well as ground. So both air and ground, they can be used for launching this. They can be launched from the planes. They can be launched using artillery weapons. Okay. So they can be launched through air as well as through ground. Now USA and its allies, they have already provided these ground-based launch weapons to Ukraine. They have not provided the bombs, but they have provided the launch weapons. What are launch weapons? They are known as howitzers. So howitzer is nothing but basically cannon, or in Hindi it is known as top, right? So howitzer is an umbrella term to define cannons and tops. So USA has already provided this particular launch pad to Ukraine. Now they will be providing Ukraine with the cluster bombs. Artillery weapon, DV artillery weapon, is nothing but a cannon that can be used for launching various bombs in a projectile manner. Okay, so this is the top or the cannon from which the bombs, they can be released in a projectile manner. Okay, so what is the advantage? What is the advantage over the normal bombs of these cluster bombs? See, once they are launched, the main casing, it opens up. The main casing within which the bomblets are present, it opens up, and these bomblets or the sub ammunition, it can spread in a larger area. If I was releasing a single bomb, it might affect only a small area. But if I'm releasing multiple bombs, some might go here, some here, some here, some here, right? So a larger area can be covered in a smaller amount of time. So that is the benefit of the cluster bomb. Now, what are the concerns related to these cluster bombs? Many advocacy agencies, many humanitarian agencies, they are wanting that these cluster bombs, they should be banned all across the world. So why are they calling for that? What are the concerns with regards to this? See, because these bombs, they can go anywhere. These bomblets, they can go anywhere. For if I was launching a single bomb, I would have targeted to my target, to my actual target. These cluster bombs, they can hit any place on the ground. So they can also hit many civilians, their houses, many civilian targets. So because once the main casing opens up, the bomblets, they can go anywhere. We cannot target them to particular locations, so they can hit any place. Also, these cluster bombs, they have a high dud rate. What is dud rate? The number of bomblets that reach the ground but do not explode. That means they are duds. Okay. So many of these bomblets, they reach the ground but they do not explode. However, it is not necessary that they will never explode. In the future, they might get activated. So in the future, they might get activated and they can affect the civilians and cause a lot of injury and deaths. So even after the war has ended, there might be some bomblets that are lying randomly in the location. So the war has ended, but these duds, they can explode even after a long period of time. So they have a long term impact on civilians. They pose a long term danger to the life and property of the civilians, because many of them are duds. They do not explode once they hit the ground. They might get exploded at a later stage. So that is why many advocacy groups, they are calling for the ban of these bombs, because their benefits are very tiny compared to the damage that they can cause. Lakshmi, dud rate, I'll explain once again. Dud rate, for example, there are 100 bomblets in that cluster bomb. Okay. When these 100, they hit the ground, only 75 of them explode, 25 of them do not explode. So the dud rate is what? 25%. Duds are basically the bomblets that have not exploded on touching the ground. Prajwal, the benefit of these cluster bombs over normal bombs is that they can cover a larger area. Okay. Now, is there any international convention on the cluster bombs? Yes. We have the Convention on Cluster Munitions that was adopted in the year 2008 in a place known as Dublin in Ireland. So this particular convention, it prohibits the use, production, transfer and stockpiling of these cluster munitions. Over 123 countries, they have already joined this convention. However, once you sign a convention document, you also need to ratify. You need to let your government know that you are joining them. You need to pass a resolution in your parliament or in your national assembly. Out of 123 countries which have joined this convention, only 111 they have ratified it. That means they have officially become a part of this convention. However, 12 countries, 12 mega munition means weapon. You can see over here how many countries they are a part. India, you can clearly see India is not a part of this convention. Okay. So Tithi, I hope your doubt is also clear. Vishal, Arzu, many people had this doubt. So India is not a part of this convention. Also, 12 countries which have a history of possessing, using, even transferring these bombs, they have never signed this convention. What are these countries in alphabetical order? We have Eritrea, Ethiopia, both in the Horn of Africa. We have Georgia, Eastern Europe. We have Israel, Libya, Morocco. We have Russia, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Syria, Thailand, and USA. So these countries, they have a history of possessing, using, and even transferring these weapons. In fact, Russia has already used these weapons in Ukraine. So that was all about the cluster bombs, the convention related to the cluster bombs. I hope it is clear. No, Albert, this convention is not a United Nation convention. This is a separate convention. So here is the practice question. Identify the correct statements. Cluster bombs can affect a larger area compared to a conventional bomb. India is a signatory to Convention on Cluster Munition. They can be launched only from ground-based artillery system. So I'll give you 15 seconds. Start. Vivek, efficiency of cluster bombs in terms of the area that it can hit compared to the normal bomb is definitely higher. But there are a lot of duds in the cluster bombs. Okay, so because of the presence of those duds, the efficiency of exploding it is less. So most of you have given the correct answer. See, yes, this is true. Cluster bombs can affect a larger area compared to the conventional bombs. India is not a signatory. You can see over here, India is not a signatory. Someone also asked, Anand also asked, is Ukraine a signatory? No, Ukraine has also not signed this convention. The third statement, they can be launched only from ground-based artillery system. No, they can be launched both from air as well as from the ground. So the correct answer over here is option A. The next topic, the very interesting topic that is in news for quite a lot of time now, that is Chandrayaan 3. Why is it in news? It is in news. Okay, Akshaya has a question that what does it mean to become a signatory? Arzu also has a question. Signatory means this is a convention. It has certain terms and conditions. You assent, you give your consent to those terms and conditions. You sign that document that yes, I'm giving the consent to these terms and conditions. For example, if you have ever lived in a rented home, there is a rent agreement. You sign that rent agreement, right? You are buying that property, you sign that agreement that yes, I'm buying that property, I agree to whatever is written over here, and I give my consent to it. So that is what is meant by signatory. Pavitra, USA has not signed this convention. Okay. Prabjot, ratifying and signatory means you have just signed it. Now, once you have signed a international convention, you need to inform your National Assembly. For India, it will be a parliament. You need to inform your National Assembly, and the National Assembly, it needs to pass a resolution that yes, India, they are a part of this convention. So that is ratification process. Okay, so India, so 123 countries, they have signed it, but only 111 have ratified it. Yes, Navdeep, yes, it's like giving permission to any app on the phone. You can download the app, but unless you give the applications, unless you give the permissions to the app, you cannot use that app, right? So downloading is signing and giving permissions is ratification. Very brilliant example, Navdeep. Okay. So about Chandrayaan 3. Chandrayaan 3, it is our third lunar mission, which we are going to launch on July 14th. Now, what will it do? It will make a soft landing on the moon. So, what is soft landing? What is hard landing? If you are jumping from a plane without any parachute, what will happen? You will hit the ground and you will get destroyed, right? That is hard landing. You are not using any gear to reduce your speed when you are coming down. So, that is hard landing. That is basically collision. Next is soft landing. You are jumping from a plane, but you have a parachute. So what does the parachute do? Parachute reduces your speed as you are coming down, so that you can land safely on the ground. You do not get hurt You do not die, right? So that is soft landing. So that is the difference between soft landing and hard landing. Okay. So Chandrayaan 3, it wishes to make a soft landing on the moon. Before this, we had the Chandrayaan 2 mission in 2018, which also wanted to do the same, make a soft landing on the lunar surface, but it failed to do so. So, the major objective of this mission first is to demonstrate safe and soft landing on lunar surface. So, show the world that India has the technology to make this soft landing on the surface of the moon. Second is we have a rover that will be released from this lander. This lander will make the landing. Within this lander, we have a rover. Lunar surface is moon's surface. So we have to demonstrate how this rover it can rove or move around on the moon and collect data. And third is conduct various scientific experiments on the moon while being on the moon. Okay, so we'll be conducting various experiments on the properties of the moon while being on the moon's surface. Okay, I'll come to what is a rover, what is the name of the rover in a while. Okay, now this particular mission, it was to be launched in the year 2020. In 2018, we failed. The Chandrayaan 2 landing mission, it failed. So we wanted to launch a Chandrayaan 3 with the same objectives in 2020, but you know that the pandemic came and we were not able to do the same. So that is why it got extended to 2023. Now this particular landing, it will be done near the south pole of the moon. Okay. Gautami, Deepshika, in situ means at that site. So we are doing in situ scientific experiments on moon. That means we are trying to study the various properties of the moon while being on the moon, while being on that site. Okay. We are on the moon and conducting experiments. If we were on Earth and conducting experiments on moon, then that would have been ex situ. This is in situ. We are on the moon and conducting experiments. Bhavna, lunar surface means moon's surface. Anjali, I'll come to what rover means, okay, in a while. So it aims to conduct these in situ studies, analyze the lunar soil, what is the composition of the soil of the moon, and gather more information about the surface of the moon. We want to determine what kind of minerals are found on the moon and whether water ice is present on the moon. So Chandrayaan 3 mission, it will include a rover and a lander. So basically a lander, what it will do, it will land on the moon. It will make a soft landing on the moon. This lander is carrying a rover. Rover, it is a small vehicle-like thing. You can see over here, a small vehicle, a small robotic vehicle. So that is a rover. It will rove around the surface of the moon. It will move around the surface of the moon. So that is lander, which will land on the surface, and from this lander will come out the rover. So you can see this is the lander. Inside the lander is this rover. So this rover, once the lander makes the landing, it will come out of the lander and it will move around on the surface of the moon collecting data. So this lander will make a soft landing, after which the rover will roll out of this lander and conduct 14-day long exploration of the surface of the moon. Lunar surface means moon's surface. So Shashikant is saying that he is a part of this project. So that's extremely awesome. Okay. So yeah. So what will be the payloads? The payloads include one, a lander which is named Vikram, and a rover which is named Pragyan. So a lander, the landing mission, the lander, the Vikram lander, it also includes a few equipments to gather information about the moon, and rover also has a few equipments to gather this information. So lander, what are the equipments on the lander? One is CHAST, that is Chandra's surface thermophysical experiment. So it will gather information about the temperature and thermal conductivity, how heat transfers from one layer to other on the moon. Okay, the temperature of the various layers of moon, how heat transfers from one layer to another through conduction. So it will talk about that. So the second is instrument for lunar seismic activity. What is seismic activity? Earthquake activity, right? So ILSA, or instrument for lunar seismic activity, will study the seismicity of the moon. Third is Langmuir probe. Now this Langmuir probe, it will estimate the plasma density and variation of plasma density on the moon. Lastly, we have an instrument that has been sent by NASA, a passive laser retroreflector array that will come from NASA. This is included for conducting lunar laser ranging studies. What do you mean by laser ranging studies? So this is a technique which is used to precisely measure the distance between various objects or various surfaces. Okay, so this will be the last equipment over the lander, that is the Vikram lander. Then we have the rover, the Pragyan rover. It has two instruments, alpha particle X-ray spectrometer and laser induced breakdown spectrometer. So both these instruments will help the rover in identifying the composition of the lunar surface, the lunar soil, the lunar surface, the lunar atmosphere. Okay, so lander will have these four things. The Langmuir probe, it will calculate the plasma density, and so basically there is solar wind that affects both sun and the that affects both moon and the earth. So basically it will be useful in studying the impact of solar wind on the moon. So Ribi is asking whether Artemis Accords are related to this mission. No, Artemis Accord is not related to this mission. This is purely an Indian mission. Artemis Accord is separate. Pulkit, it is advisable that you at least have an idea of what all these names are. Okay, you should have an idea about it, because this is a very current related topic and a very big thing for India. Okay, we are trying to soft land our mission on moon. It is a very big thing for India. So this particular mission will use the orbiter that was sent in the orbit of the moon during the Chandrayaan-2 mission. It will use the same orbiter to communicate all the information back to the Earth. Okay. Now this Chandrayaan-3, it will be released from this place known as Sriharikota. The Satish Dhawan Space Center. Now, what will be the launch vehicle that will be used? The launch vehicle that is used is LVM-3. Full form of it is Launch Vehicle Mark 3. Now, this is a geosynchronous launch vehicle, a GSLV. Okay, it has been indigenously built. The first journey of this LVM, it was back in the year 2014. And this particular launch vehicle was also responsible for carrying Chandrayaan 2 back in the year 2018. Okay. Now LVM-3, it has three stages. What are the three stages? The first stage or the bottommost stage, it uses a solid fuel. So the first stage is a solid stage. What is the fuel? Hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. The second stage, which is powered by two indigenously built engines, that is Vikas engines. It is a liquid stage. Third stage is a cryogenic stage. What is cryogenic stage? What is cryogenic? Very low temperature. So the fuel of this third stage, it will be stored at a very low temperature. Why? Because in this stage, to provide the thrust to the rocket, we will be using liquid hydrogen as the fuel with liquefied oxygen as the oxidizer. Right? Now naturally hydrogen exists in gaseous form, but to bring it in the liquid form we have to reduce the temperature a lot. Right? So that is why this stage is a cryogenic stage. Sharat, indigenous means that this project has been developed within the country, by the country. We haven't taken outside help. Karthik, this mission will reach moon in the next month. So what are the previous lunar missions up until now? This was the third mission. Before this, we had Chandrayaan 1, which was launched in October 2008, on October 22nd. Now it only had an orbiter. What is an orbiter? It only orbits the moon. Like satellites orbit us, like moon orbits Earth. Similarly, the orbiter, it orbits or rotates around the moon. It was designed to orbit the moon and conduct scientific experiments to gather any data about the lunar surface from that distance. It was the mission. Why was it so important? It discovered the presence of water molecules on the moon. So that is why it was very important. It also mapped the entire lunar surface, the entire surface of the moon. It produced very high resolution, high definition maps which were later used to identify various craters, various mountains, various volcanoes on the moon. It also had this moon impact probe. Now this moon impact probe, what it did? It did a hard landing on the moon. So while it was going down towards the moon, towards the surface of the moon, it crossed what? The lunar atmosphere. So while going down, it collected data about this lunar atmosphere and sent that back to Earth, and then finally it destroyed itself after making a hard landing or a collision. Then was Chandrayaan 2 in 2018. It had three elements. It had an orbiter, it had a lander, and it had a rover as well. Okay. The lander was named Vikram, rover was named Pragyan. We are using the same names this time as well to give respect to our second mission. The primary objective of this mission was to make a soft landing on the surface of the moon and deploy the rover on the moon's surface. However, just before reaching the surface of the moon, we lost contact from the module, and that is why this particular mission, it failed. The orbiter component, however, the orbiter component of Chandrayaan 2, it is still functioning, it is still in the place, and it is this orbiter that will be used by the Chandrayaan 3 mission. So Chandrayaan 3 will be using this orbiter to send information back to the Earth. So Chandrayaan 3, it has only lander and rover. It does not have the orbiter. It will be using the same orbiter as that of Chandrayaan 2 mission. So here is a practice question. How many of the following pairs are correctly matched? Chandrayaan 1 had orbiter and lander. Chandrayaan 2 orbiter, lander and rover. Chandrayaan 3 lander and rover. Again, I'm giving you 15 seconds. Kanaya, it was Vikram Sarabhai, after which the rover, this was named, the lander was named Vikram. Okay. So most of you have given the correct answer. See, Chandrayaan 1 only had an orbiter. Chandrayaan 2 had all three. Chandrayaan 3 will be having only lander and rover. Okay. So the correct answer over here is option B. Vishal, it is not designed to come back. It will stay over there only. It will complete all its work and then stay over there. Now the last topic, very quickly. We only have a very small amount of time. Dharma Chakra Pravartana Divas. Now, this is a very easy topic. Most of you are aware of the Buddhist teachings. We'll be discussing that only over here. So, why was it in news? It was in news because the International Buddhist Confederation, it celebrated the Dharma Chakra Pravartana Divas on Ashad Purnima. Ashad Purnima, also known as Guru Purnima, which was celebrated this year on 3rd July. So Tanmay has a very valid question. Has any country successfully landed softly? Has made a soft landing? See, up until now, only 3 countries they have done it. USA, China and Russia. India, if we are able to achieve it, will be the 4th country. Okay. So this day marks the day when Buddha gave his first sermon. This first sermon, this act of giving the first sermon is known as Dharma Chakra Pavartana. Okay, and this learnings of this first sermon, they are known as Dharma Chakra Pavartana Sutta, or setting in motion the wheel of Dharma. Now, a little bit about Dharma Chakra Pavartana. See, this sermon, it was the first sermon that was given by Buddha after his enlightenment. First sermon, basically what I'm giving you right now. Sermon is teachings from one person to other. I'm telling you about this new and new information. So this is basically a sermon. So this sermon basically lecture. So it was delivered to his first 5 disciples at a place known as Deer Park in the city of Sarnath, near Varanasi. Okay. Now Sarnath is a separate place from Varanasi. It is near Varanasi. Now here, during this sermon, he gave the 4 noble truths and the noble eightfold path. Now, what is the importance? What is the importance? See, this was the first time that he gave a sermon. So this was the first time he started sharing his teachings. Now Buddhism has 3 ratnas. What are the 3 ratnas? One is Buddha, that is the enlightened one. Ritu, I'm coming to a question, just wait, okay? Second is Dhamma, that is the teachings given by the Buddha or the enlightened one. And the third one is Sangha, or a community. community of students who hear the teachings of the Buddha. So this is the three Ratnas of Buddhism. So it was here. Buddha was already enlightened. We had the enlightened one. Now Buddha first time gave the teachings, shared his teachings. So there came the element of Dhamma. Third, he gave teachings to five disciples. So there came the element of community or Sangha. So three Ratnas, they came into being during this Dhamma Chakra Pavatana Divas. Okay, so that is why it is so important. It led to the establishment of Sangha. It was the first time that Buddha started sharing his teachings. Okay. So Ritu has a question related to the previous topic. What happens after 14 days? Will the rover be destroyed or will it remain moving? See, 14 days is the limit that we have set, that minimum 14 days the rover should work and send us information. If it is able to stay beyond that, that's well and good. Okay. Now, what are the major teachings of Buddha? Most of you know about it. First is the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is that suffering is a part of life. We need to recognize this. We need to recognize and understand that suffering is something that is a part of life. It is an inherent part of life, referring to dissatisfaction, pain, and impermanence. Then, what is the origin of suffering? The second truth talks about the origin of suffering. Suffering, it arises from desire and attachment. We have a lot of desire. I want a Audi car, I want a Rolls Royce, I'm not able to get it, so I'm sad, I'm suffering. So basically it is coming from desire and from attachment. I have a phone. This phone get destroyed. I was attached to this phone. It got destroyed. So I'm suffering. So desire and attachment, they are the reason for suffering. The third one, how do you stop this suffering? This suffering can be stopped only if we realize that we need to let go of our desires and attachment. We do not need to be extensively attached to any thought, anything, right? So, this gives us a freedom from any kind of suffering. He clearly stated that it is possible to achieve freedom from this suffering if we let go of all our desires and attachment. Then, how can we let go of all these things? We can let go of these things if we follow the Noble Eightfold Path. What is the Noble Eightfold Path? Sijo, from Chandrayaan topic, you need to study the components of of this mission. You need to know about the previous missions as well. Okay. Now, what is the eightfold path? Eightfold path includes, we need to have a right view. We need to develop a correct understanding of the nature of reality. We need to know when we are getting attached, when we are having desires. We need to know everything. Right intention, whatever we do, it should be done with good intentions. Right speech, whatever we say, it should not be in such a way that it hurts anyone. Right action, the way we conduct ourselves, it should be very ethical. It should not affect other people. Right livelihood, the way we choose in earning our livelihood, our day to day food and other things, it should be ethical in nature. We should not cheat any other person. Just a second. The right effort, we need to make very sustained efforts so that we instill in ourselves all the good qualities that make us a good person. Right mindfulness, we should be aware or mindful about our body, our feelings, our emotions, so that we have a proper control over them. Right concentration, we should have a focused and one pointed concentration on everything around us. And for increasing concentration, even now, what do people suggest? Doing meditation. We should meditate and increase our concentration. So how can you remember all these points? See, I remembered it using a small acronym. My calves. MI. It is not MY my, it is MI my. My calves. So I've been using this acronym to remember all these eightfold path. Okay. So you can remember them using this: mindfulness, intention, concentration, action, livelihood, vision, effort, and speech. Shubham also has a very nice one: evil, scam. Good one, good one. Now, we in the first slide we said that International Buddhist Confederation was celebrated this Divas. Now, what is International Buddhist Confederation? It is a global umbrella body, and within the under this body, there are the membership includes a lot of Buddhist organizations, Buddhist institutions, individuals, researchers, everyone. All of them, they are a part of this confederation. So it is an umbrella body. What is the main aim of this body? It wishes to promote and preserve the various teachings and the principles of the faith of Buddhism. It wants to let everyone know about the various principles, the various teachings of non-violence, kindness, humbleness of Buddhism to the world. It was founded back in the year 2012 in New Delhi. So it was founded in New Delhi, and it is a very important part of our soft power component. So the membership includes members from various Buddhist organizations, institutions, individuals around the world, various research institutions, academicians, everyone. It is open to both the monastic and the lay Buddhist communities. Monastic communities, those which have monks, and lay communities which do not have any monks, which have normal people like me and you who have not given up on our routine life. The leadership structure of this confederation, it includes a president, a general secretary, and an executive council. So this represents this executive council. It has representatives from various different Buddhist traditions and regions. Buddhist traditions, different Buddhist traditions means we have different traditions. We have Mahayana Buddhism, we have Hinayana Buddhism, Theravada. Okay, so we have a lot of various traditions of Buddhism. So everyone, they will be represented in the executive council. So it has a flagship event known as International Buddhist Conclave, which is held at regular intervals. So this is not held annually as such. It is, however, held at different intervals whenever it is decided. So in this conclave, all the members, they come together on a single platform and discuss how the teachings of Buddhism can be interpreted, how they can be propagated throughout the world to achieve peace, to achieve harmony between the different nations. Flagship event, it means that it is the main event. You have flagship schemes of the government, right? The biggest scheme, the most important schemes of the government. So similarly, this conclave is the most important event of this confederation. Now we come to a practice question, very easy one. Dharma Chakra Pravartana, an important event in the life of Buddha, took place at Varanasi, Lumbini, Ujjain, or Sarnath. I'm giving you 10 seconds for this. So most of you have given the right answer. It is Sarnath. See, when I showed you over here, It happened at Deer Park in a place known as Sarnath, which is located near Varanasi. It is near Varanasi. It is not Varanasi. Okay. So, correct answer over here is option D, that is Sarnath. So, with that, we come to an end to this particular session. I hope you were able to understand everything that we discussed over here. So, thank you very much. Thank you for being a part of this session. Take care, and I'll see you soon sometime. Thank you very much.